You are live.
Hi, folks. I'm live, or alive. I'm sorry, it's really bothering me. This table is wobbly, and I'm starting to get seasick over here.
So who are you, Bill?
So we have a great guest today, and I'm going to secretly bring him or her on because I don't want to give it away.
After this.
Right after this. It's a great story. Hi, thank you so much for waiting. We're getting started a little bit later than we typically do. I am Bill. This is Wendy. Jonathan is not with us today. It's the end of the month.
And he's in a bazillion loans. We're in the best month ever. Thank you, Jesus.
That's right. We are. Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a tough morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the Real Estate Investor Show. Hard money for real estate investors. We are Carolina Capital Management. We're lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you're interested in borrowing money, go to carolinahardmoney.com and click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and please sign up for Wednesdays with Wendy. Wendy donates 30 minutes per person on Wednesdays for chats about anything real estate related.
That's right.
I mean, you can talk about other things, but you're wasting your time. It's not that she's not
I don't know about everything.
It's just that you're wasting valuable time. By the way, we have a chat on the right side or underneath your screen, depending on the platform that you're viewing us from. Well, let's get to it.
Awesome. So what's going on in your world, Bill? You've had a tough morning. You had to fight the computer, right?
The computer's always fighting me.
I know. I don't understand.
So I was gone all last week, a couple of different masterminds and a wedding.
Yeah.
The wedding was a blast, by the way.
It was.
It's always nice seeing family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring our guest on. April has an amazing story. I don't want to give it all away, but she started off life as a teenage mom and then turned into a millionaire.
Yeah.
She's got an interesting story about RVs.
Yeah, I want to hear.
All right. So now without any further ado, April Crossley, please come out from the green room. Okay, this is new. I didn't know we had for a special guest.
That was pretty cool.
Oh, it is cool. We have these bots that just show up every now and again.
Very cool.
The robot.
They're always surprising us with new graphics.
Yeah. Throwing us off like we need help, right?
Of course, if we'd show up in time for our show, they could probably give us a heads up. Additional graphics.
And I had to kind of laugh when Bill said you started out as a teenage mom. I'm sure you were born a child.
Yeah. I was. No, right. Like Benjamin Button stuff.
Yeah.
Going backwards. Again, I've had a rough morning.
Yeah. Just a little slow, but I just loved reading your story, and what a wonderful, interesting, inspiring story you have.
Thanks.
So we're just going to shut up and let you talk.
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
In a nutshell, yeah, I definitely wasn't born a teenager, but I had my son when I was 16, and that kind of put me on a path to buckling down and figuring out what I want to do with my life. And so I actually ended up going into healthcare, going to school, getting my bachelor's degree in biology. So I tell everyone my degree is really in biology. So maybe you shouldn't believe anything I tell you about real estate. Trust but verify. And I worked in a hospital in like trauma and critical care as a respiratory therapist. So with people on life support, I did that for 13 years. Wow. During that time, I met my now husband, picked up a book about real estate investing called The 1 Minute Millionaire, and just started reading all these stories about people like buying houses and renting them, and other people are paying down their mortgage. And I'm like, this has got to be a lie. There's like no way this is actually happening. Like, I would get to keep the equity. Why would they let me do that? And my husband had 2 small rental properties, so he knew all about it. But I was, for graduating from college and having a really good job, I was renting a house. I was completely not financially educated at all. So my husband's like, why are you renting a house? Like, you make good money. I'm like, what else is there? Like, where should I be living? He's like, I didn't even like the concept of buying a house wasn't even something in my world. And he helped me buy my first house, like basically showed me the process, like that, you know, you have great credit and you pay your bills and you should buy a house. So I did. And we ended up turning that into a rental. And at the time I was in school for my master's degree to be the CEO of a hospital. And I was like, wow, I can either stay in my master's degree or I can learn more about real estate. So I dropped out of my master's program, and my mother almost had a heart attack. That was the first heart attack I almost gave her. And I was like, I'm taking a real estate investing class, so I can't afford to put any more money towards a master's degree. And I just started learning about real estate investing more and more. So then when I was working in healthcare, I started flipping houses on the side and did that for 3 years until, you know, healthcare's kind of become more like a business, and I lost my passion for it. And it became more painful to go to work than filling me up with joy. So my husband said to me one day, you know, if you put this much effort into real estate as you do working for someone else, you could like really have a great business and run your own business. And when I was 35 for my birthday, I just walked into my boss's office and was like, I'm resigning and I'm hanging up my license and I'm never coming back. So I gave up my license to practice and everything. I was like, I want no safety net at all. Wow. I just want to keep buying houses. So we kept flipping. And basically, like, I flipped for those 3 years knowing I was eventually going to exit, but I wanted to buy rentals because I feel like the only way to grow true wealth is to like buy assets or be invested in those hard assets long term, not just the short term flipping. That was kind of just capital to pay off debt. So then I could go to a bank and say, hey, I have this rental and I want to do a cash out refinance on it. And they can't say, oh, but you quit your job. Because then I would say, oh, but I've been flipping houses for 3 years, actually making more than I did at my healthcare job. And I was only flipping 3 houses a year. It wasn't like I was like, had some huge machine and was flipping all these houses. And I tell people, you don't have to have like this gigantic machine running. We have that now, but we didn't have that back then. So I retired from healthcare at 35 and just kind of chased real estate full time and started buying rentals and raising private money. And in the process of raising private money, a private money lender said to me, I was in a meeting having coffee with him, and he's like, what did you do with all your old retirement accounts from healthcare? I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're just like, I don't know. What do people do with them? And he's like, well, do you have like a retirement account? I'm like, oh yeah, I have a Roth IRA. Like, I felt so proud. Like, I have a Roth and I have retirement accounts at the hospital I used to work at. And he's like, you know, what are your fees on those? And how much money are you making? And what are you invested in? I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I just show up at Morgan Stanley and I give my guy money and I'm like, can you invest this for me? Like that. So I was investing in real estate, but I still wasn't making the connection that I didn't have control over my investment over here, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So it took a private lender saying to me, like, why don't you have a self-directed IRA? And why are you trusting your money with Morgan Stanley when you're clearly successful at real estate and that's what you know about and you can grow it in real estate? And the first thing out of my mouth just like sometimes I just say whatever comes to my mind. I was like, is that even legal? Like, and he was like, April, it's perfectly legal. Here's who you need to talk to. So I called that the day I broke up with Morgan Stanley, because I went to my Morgan Stanley advisor and was just like, I'm breaking up with you. Like, I'm rolling this money over into self-directed. And I became a private lender. And that opened up, we always utilized private funds. So we started in 2004 flipping houses on the side. We've never used our own money to buy houses or rentals, always private funds. So that opened up my mind to like, I never really thought I could be a private lender. I just was like utilizing private lenders, but I didn't make the connection that I could do this. Once I did my first private loan, I was like, are you serious? Why didn't someone tell me about this sooner? Like, I feel like there's a scale of like the level of hustle it takes in real estate, and like wholesaling and flipping is like so much hustle. It's ridiculous. And then owning rentals, and I was self-managing and I had my own tenants and this and that. And then someone's like, you can literally just look at a deal and write a check and still make income. And now I'm at the level where I'm passively investing in syndications and larger projects. And I'm like, and now I'm getting the income plus tax benefits plus equity on the back end. And I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm reviewing the property and writing the check. I'm like, this is crazy. So when I started becoming a private lender, it just like really made me realize that there's different kind of levels of investing for everybody. So now when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I really want to invest in real estate, I'm like, okay, but how? Like, you really have to think about how much time do you have? How much money do you have? Like, when you're starting your own business and buying your own rentals and doing your own flips, even if you have property management, you're starting a business, you're starting another side business. And a lot of people don't have time for that. They just have money and think that they should own the real estate itself. Mm-hmm. And then when you tell them like, hey, this is what I'm passively investing in, and I don't like quote unquote own it, but I'm partnered with all these great people and they know everything about the tenants and the asset. And I'm just sitting back here watching direct deposits go into my bank account. It's amazing, freaking amazing. Yeah,
absolutely.
We like to call that controlling the asset without the responsibility of owning the asset.
Yes, absolutely.
How nice is that?
That's probably the most common topic, excuse me, that I deal with on my Wednesday with Wendy calls. People asking about how they can either be a private lender or how they can raise private money. Of course, if they're newer, looking to raise the money. But if they've been investing a while, their question is always about how can I lend money to? And some people, it isn't even on their radar. They just happen to have a couple $100,000 in a 401k, whether it's self-directed or not. And I do everything I can to say, listen, you need to you need to be investing that money in other rehabbers and other fix and flips. You don't want to own the house. You want to lend the money. It's so much easier. The time frame is crazy.
I was going to mention a friend of ours, Wayne Schaefer, who is a wholesaler, fix and flip. He also does a lot of turnkey and rental stuff. He did a presentation on the hourly rate from the flipper to the attorney to the
real estate
agent, and then the private lender. And the private lender had, well, based on the per hour, it was like $5,000 an hour on this. He made the most money as the flipper, but he was down to like what, $120 an hour?
Yeah, it was a big difference. So
it's
kudos.
Very eye-opening.
Yeah.
So are you 100% a lender at this point, or are you still doing some fix and flip?
No, we do other stuff. So I have 2 flipping companies in Pennsylvania that I run remotely. So I have partners in those now. So I'm not super involved. I probably work about 5 hours a week in the flipping business. Just on the marketing side, we run a huge marketing machine, and everything else we outsource, and someone else takes seller calls, and we have project managers and all that. And then We have small multifamily that we buy, and I partner with people in stuff in other states. So like we're buying a small mobile home park in Tennessee. So I still buy stuff like on partnership, but then I also passively invest into syndications and sometimes co-GP on syndications, and raise capital for that. So I do like a little bit of everything, but I always tell people my ultimate goal is really to become the biggest private money lender I can become someday. And I'm not there yet, but that would be my goal. I still love, like, I don't know, it sounds cheesy, like the art of the deal and working on deals and finding deals and putting deals together. I still love that part. But before I was a solopreneur for so long, like I did my flip business by myself and bought rentals by myself. And now I don't do that anymore. I'm like, I'm either going to partner like 1, 2, or 3 people, or syndicate, or if I'm going to like own an asset. I just see so much more benefit and so much more cash flow and less stress for me in stuff that I'm either passively investing in or I'm partnered on. The whole solopreneur thing doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah. And the freedom you've given to yourself. I mean, you just went on a year-long RV trip. So
yeah,
about that, where did you go? What did you do?
Everywhere. So my husband and I, when I retired at 35, I say retired to work in real estate full time, I was like, if I'm not snowbirding, because I'm from Pennsylvania, if I'm not a snowbird somewhere by the time I'm 40, this is all for naught. Like, I'm going to be so mad at myself. So when we were 39, we started snowbirding to Arizona in our RV. So 3 months a year, we drive from Pennsylvania to Arizona, live there for 3 months, and then drive back and just skip the winter. It was amazing. And then last year, my son turned 26 and he bought his own house. And my husband, he's our only son. My husband and I look at each other and we're like, what are we going to do in this big house like here? I think we should just sell it and leave. So that's what we did. We sold it and got in our RV and just traveled the United States for a year. And we basically just chased the weather and the national parks. So we went to all like the national parks in the United States, and the United States is so beautiful. So we are like Montana, Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado. We spent a ton of time out west, some time in Tennessee and North Carolina, because I have partners I do business with there and friends there. And we went all over and it was great. And I tell people like, people are like, how do you do that and still have all these businesses? I would not be able to do that if I wasn't partnering or investing passively by any means. Like people get into real estate and they're like, I want to get into it for financial freedom. And then when I first got into it, I was like, where is the freedom part? Like, because I'm working more hours in my business than I did when I had a job for a hospital, and I'm working like a dog and I have no freedom. So I had to learn how to, with the flipping business and the rentals especially, get out of them and just oversee them and run them like a business. And then the passive investing and partnering on stuff has really allowed me to buy in other areas of the United States other than Pennsylvania, because there's a lot of areas that are way more friendly to buy in than Pennsylvania. So it has allowed me to do that and just have more freedom, like personal freedom, or not chained to a desk. And I tell people, in your business, you should just leave your business for 3 months, and that will tell you how involved you are in it. Like when we started snowbirding, we went away for 3 months, and we were snowbirds for 3 years before we hit the road full time. Every year we would go away for 3 months, I would be like, wow, I have to fix this or change this because I'm getting way too many phone calls and people are still way too dependent on me for things. So then we would fix that. And then the next year we'd go away again. I'd be like, wow, I am still way too involved in this. I need to fix that. So we had 3 years of kind of test runs to perfect things before we left for a year. But I'm like, what happens to you if something happens to you tomorrow? Who's going to step in? You shouldn't be like the only person that knows about your business and can run your business. We all get into this to spend more time with our family and have more freedom. And what happens is you get into it and you spend less time with your family and have less freedom. And that was just frustrating me. So I had to like find coaches that could help me get out of that. I was basically just like, I want to grow wealth. I want to help people do the same thing, but I don't want to do it in the way I'm doing it now because it's all on me right now. Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah.
And besides that, working with others allows you to be able to scale from being that solo entrepreneur. At the same time, you're very well diversified. So you're taking a lot of the solo risk off of yourself.
Yeah.
Mentioned what we've just been talking about. You're working on your business and not in it.
Yeah.
And you're making it, you're really doing what the people do. If you're the owner of a McDonald's, are you working in the McDonald's?
You're not flipping hamburgers.
You never
Right.
walk into the McDonald's and say, I want to talk to the owner, because the owner isn't there.
Hopefully.
Yeah. It's so true.
And
so
that's
true.
how you run a true business. That's how you make a business saleable and worth money.
Yeah.
People don't buy your job. They buy the income that they can receive from that business.
Yeah.
Trouble
Yeah.
with so many people that start businesses. And I, since COVID, we've had multitudes of people starting businesses because they realized that, hey, I really hate going back and forth to the job. They got forced either out or to stay at home. And there's so many people that are now entrepreneurs that weren't, 18 months ago or even a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
People in the business, a lot of people think that they can get things started and do it on their own, and some can.
Sure.
But it's not easy. It's not easy, and you do put in a lot of hours. But the problem with the personality of those of us who are entrepreneurs, we also tend to like to have control over what's going on, and that letting go part is the toughest thing. You were so smart in being able to test it out for 3 years and work your way off of that. They're prying my fingers off one at a time on everything here. We have a great team here. We're so blessed with the rock stars that we have in place, and we kissed a lot of frogs to get there. So how did you find the people that are working really for you, working your business for you? How'd you find them?
Yeah. So when I joined my first mastermind group, because I sat down with my friend and was like, I'm quitting my business and I gave up my healthcare license, but it's okay. I can be a secretary in a hospital because I know all the lingo and I'll do great. And like, I was literally crying at lunch, and she's like, you don't need to quit. You need to learn how to run it better. And she's like, that's your problem. And she's like, you're a solopreneur. You're doing all this on your own. And she's like, join this mastermind. This guy specializes in like teaching you how to get out of your flip business. So I joined the group, and the day one, first meeting I go to, they're like, okay, you need to stop working by yourself. How do you even do that? Like, how are you like managing this? And he's like, who do you know in your market that's doing something similar to what you're doing that you could meet with them and team up? And I had a girl in my market I was just flipping houses, and she was just wholesaling. That's all she was doing. So I'm like, we could make more money if she was making money off my flips and I was making money off her wholesale deals, and we could work out some kind of arrangement like that. So we probably met 2 or 3 times. I mean, I flew back from that mastermind meeting and I was like texting her, like, when can you meet? Can we have lunch? I need to meet with you, blah, blah, blah. And when we met, I just recognized a lot of things in her that were not me. Like, I didn't want a me. Like, I deal with me. I don't want a me. Like, I want someone that has different strengths than me. So she's more detail oriented. She's really into systems and processes and all the things that I just like hate. I'm just like, do it. And she's like, we need to put a system and process in place for this so we can repeat it. And basically, like, core values are really important. So I feel like a lot of times when people look for a business partner, they spend a lot of time talking about what your business can do for them and how great you are, instead of asking them about themselves and what they're looking for and how you can help them. So for her, she wanted to own rentals and grow a portfolio. And she still works with me to this day. And now she's working with me in another one of my businesses. And that's always been important to me. Like, I want you to own your own real estate and I want you to grow your own portfolio. So let's work together and you'll get to cherry pick whatever deals you want. while I'm carrying kind of the financial side of things and supporting the marketing, and we're splitting profits on deals. But a lot of our conversation just revolved around general life stuff. Like, what is your life like? How many kids do you have? You know, when you start talking to people about their family and their life in general, it really shows you what they value in life. And I don't care if she knew nothing about real estate. It just so happened that she was super trustworthy, and I had worked with her on some wholesale stuff before. But even if she knew nothing about real estate, like, core values are more important to me than the business side of things. Like, I just find that if you really look for the right things inside of someone, your partnerships will flourish. And you can't look for people that are like you. And then my partners in other states, I used to do a lot of coaching for like newbie flippers and people that wanted to do the BRRRR strategy that were new. So I would speak at events sometimes for other coaches, and you can just meet someone, you can just tell, like, I really have it on my heart to like someday build an affordable senior housing community. And like, I don't really talk about it too much, but when someone comes up to me at an event and they're like, I really want to do this someday, but this is what I'm doing now, and it aligns with what my vision is and what I want to do, I'm like, wow, I got to dig into this person and get to know them. Like, we have to meet for coffee. I want to know all about them and their life, see what their core values are. And I don't ask them like, what are your core values? You can just tell just by talking to someone about their life and like challenges that they've faced in life and how they handled those. But via speaking at events and doing a little bit of coaching, I've met some really good partners in other states. Like my partner in Tennessee, I'm buying the mobile home park with. She's an agent. She's getting her commercial broker's license. She has her mobile home dealer's license. Her husband's a contractor. I'm like, check. Like, could she have any more strengths? Like, she's amazing. And they're both really good people to the core. And same with my partner in North Carolina. It's kind of the same story. So I've just by connecting with people, by talking and sharing what I do on YouTube and being helpful, I feel like the more you give and give, the more that has helped me to grow, because it's connected me with the right people.
Absolutely. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, speaking of giving, how can we help you?
Yeah, they can follow. I have a YouTube channel. It's April Crossley, and they can check out our website, lazygirlrei.com. And my email's april@lazygirlrei.com. And the Lazy Girl REI people are like, you are not lazy. I'm like, no, but laziness is my genius. Like, I want financial freedom. So I want to outsource. I want to passively invest. That's my goal. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
What
a great story. We're from Philadelphia, by the way.
I
know you could tell by our accent, couldn't you?
That's what as a matter of fact, we were there this past weekend.
Wedding.
It was, like I said, nice to see everyone. I completely lost my train of thought.
She gave her contact information.
No. I was going to say something about, oh, well, that's what happens when you get in my age.
It's okay.
The gray matter just oozes out of your ears.
Sure,
anyway, we could talk for another hour easily.
That's good stuff.
But I want to respect your time, and frankly, our audience tends to not. No, I'm just kidding. They're like us, shiny object.
Yeah, entrepreneurs.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You have great content. You have a great story. You're doing it the right way.
Yes.
Oh, what I was going to say, I finally.
It came to him now. Got brighter.
You're talking about the core values. You can teach people how to do the real estate piece, but you cannot teach them to have better values.
Yeah.
They either already have them,
or they don't,
or they're just not going to align with you.
Yeah.
And that is the most important.
Anyway,
it was wonderful meeting you.
Nice meeting you guys too. Thank you very much.
It was awesome.
And do me a favor, Sheree, would you throw that URL up again one more time? There we go. Excellent. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us today on the Real Estate Investor Show, Hard Money for Real Estate Investors. We are Carolina Capital Management, and we are lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you're interested in borrowing money, go to carolinahardmoney.com and click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and sign up with Wednesdays with Wendy. Our next show is coming up at 1 o'clock, and the links are over there in the chat box. Thanks. See you then.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I thought you were already talking on the green room.
I didn't want her to leave. I wanted to say thank you again.
Man, you
But
are
they're out.
really off to